sometimes when you make a record, there's a disconnect between fans and what you were trying to convey. But it seems like for smear merchants, it's like we're synced in, exactly what we tried to convey and what the listeners are getting is like exactly on in pace.
Hey, y'all, this is S. Patrick Brooks from the Heavy Underground Farm Report. And I am super stoked tonight to have Wayne from Fuzz Evil with me tonight. We're going to talk about their new album and some exciting things that are coming up for these guys. So, Wayne, thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks for having me, man. It's good to be here, man. So
Yeah, I have to admit that I forgot Arizona does not have daylight savings time. So like an hour ago, I like set it up and I'm like, I don't know where those guys are. And then I was like, oh fuck, I know exactly where they are. They're like on time. And so, hey man, I apologize for that, but I'm super happy we got connected. We have a good connection. So tell me, man, you've got to be pretty fucking stoked. Your new album comes out in 4 days on March
yep.
21st. It's called Smear Merchants. Um, I was pretty excited after reading JJ's and Stephanie Doomcake's reviews of your album. And so I jumped into it pretty heavily over the last couple of days, and it's fantastic, man. Tell me,
Oh, thank you.
how are you feeling about the pre-press hype for your release?
It's exciting, man, because it's every record you put so much time into it, and so you put something out, and I, I'm just like, kind of humbled by the what people are saying back, because when you put that much time into a record, you know what goes into it. And so it's like, it's hard to convey that to somebody else. And so it's like, you just kind of let it breathe and do its thing. And you hope people enjoy it as much as you like making it. And it seems like, sometimes when you make a record, there's a disconnect between fans and what you were trying to convey. But it seems like for smear merchants, it's like we're synced in, exactly what we tried to convey and what the listeners are getting is like exactly on in pace.
That's got to be super exciting for you. And Wayne, is there like extra pressure for you because you guys do this all yourselves?
Yeah.
You're not going. You don't have a famous studio wizard out there mixing stuff. And man, it sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
But does
Thank you.
that add some pressure, or does that maybe relieve a little pressure in a way?
Everything about this musical journey is a learning experience, right? Your failures, your successes, being told no 1,000 times, right? Like you got to have a tough skin. You got to learn from your mistakes, and also capitalize on your wins, right? And so
Sure.
when it comes to my brother and I have always done everything ourselves, not because it's like I have to do things myself, but it's like I've always had the mentality of like, nobody's coming to save you. You got to save yourself. You got to
Okay.
put the work in. You got to hustle. This industry, I wish you could just play music and be okay with it, but you can't. You got to
No.
be I have to wear so many hats. I'm the guy booking the tours where I'm writing the lyrics, we're writing the riffs. It's like I'm making videos all night to put promo stuff for the stuff next day, and it's like you just got to put the
Sure.
work in.
Yeah, you got to do the social media side of things.
Yeah.
Is that, how do you feel about that side? I mean, that's the side I operate from, so I have interest in that. Like, is that a pretty large part of how you guys market yourselves?
Yeah, it's like you learn, I learned, are you familiar with who Matt Bacon is? I think he does stuff for Ripple, and
Hmm.
learning the marketing side of this is huge because there is it's like it's like almost like you put all this time into the studio, you take time to get good at your craft, you make this record and then you release it into a void, right? And that's sad. And so it's like it's almost, you ever seen there's an old, I think there's a meme about it where it shows studio, musicians in the studio, and it's like this fine detail drawn horse, head of a horse, and then the back of it's like drawn in crayon. Like that
Yeah,
is what so many guys do. It's like you release this amazing record and then you don't spend any time on the promo side, and it's almost, man, it's so much because it's, you think you can take a moment to exhale, like, oh, finally we can kind of
Yeah.
birth this thing and let it go, and then you realize that all the work is just getting started, you know?
How long ago then did you guys record the album, Wayne? How long have you been done with it?
Oh man, I want to say we we must have finished it sometime last year, and
Okay.
then yeah, no, maybe at the beginning, maybe early end of last year, early this year. And you know, like I said, it was a learning experience. We had the opportunity probably back in 2018 to record at Dave Grohl's studio in LA. And we got to
Yeah.
work with the producer Paul Fig. He did like Slipknot, he did Alice in
Oh, hell
Chains, and
yeah.
he was doing those records. We were in between like Slipknot and Alice in Chains. So it's like, you know, I'm a nobody. I'm from some small town in Arizona. And so like being able to be involved in that kind of process, and like we're
Yeah.
engineers ourselves. I mean, I record some guitars here and my brother does, we record stuff in his studio. And so
Cool.
being like being able to see how you do it at that level, it's like it was almost worth the experience and worth the money was paid to record there, because
Right on.
now you could be like, okay, these how these guys do it. I'm going to take all that knowledge and apply it ourselves and learn a bunch of that stuff. And so I think what you're hearing is, you know, probably a lot of stuff that you heard from Paul Fig, you know, the stuff we learned from him.
Cool.
And so my brother really took that in, and, you know, he's, you know, so
No,
big
I
ups
think
to Paul Fig.
Man, that's super admirable to go that you guys go in there with that kind of open mind and treat that as a learning experience instead of a stifling experience. That's pretty cool. But you guys have a serious do-it-yourself attitude. And I looked up on a map where you're from today, and you're like little like southeast of
Yeah,
Tucson, I
yeah,
believe. So you guys are like in the fucking desert, like
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
close to the southern border, man. And like I'm from Colorado, and so I've been to Arizona a bunch of times, and people in Arizona really do have that kind of fiercely independent attitude. Do you think the environment that you guys grew up in, you and your brother grew up in, has created has kind of shaped your do-it-yourself attitude that you take to your music?
I think so. And you know, a lot of it for in our genre, they're south of most of the bands in our genre are in Phoenix. You know, a lot of the ones that
Yeah.
people a lot of know. And so for years we've always been we're really good friends with everybody. We played everybody in the Phoenix scene, but we're 3 hours away, three and a half. And so outside of Phoenix, there really isn't a lot of bands. I mean, there's a couple bands in Tucson, but they're kind of newer popping up. But we've
Okay.
always been kind of so isolated out here. So it's almost like you're just out here working, you know, like, and it has its disadvantages and advantages. You don't feel that camaraderie with the scene, but also you get to capitalize on these opportunities. Like, you know, in Tucson, there's not, like you said, there's not a lot of stoner and doom bands or psych bands. So like any opportunity that comes through like the big theaters, you know, we get first dibs on a lot of those shows. So it's like we just played with Pentagram a couple nights ago, or not nights ago, back in February. It was funny because we played with Bobby like a couple nights before his. It must have been the night before he went viral, which was crazy to see because it's like,
It's
and
crazy.
the funny thing is, and I knew that was going to happen. The reason why, because we get done playing, we load up, and I go to the back, you know, the back of the venue, get a drink of water and whatnot, and you know, Pentagram's playing, and you know, Bobby's doing his stuff on stage, and then I see a guy in the very back of the room, and he's recording with his phone, right? And it's one of those things where Bobby's going, you know,
So
like,
you
and
were
he's doing
there.
probably a couple shows before you went viral. And I knew he was going to go viral because this guy who's filming Bobby, and you know, Bobby's doing his stuff with his tongue and stuff. And this guy is just zooming in. And me and my friend are dying because he keeps zooming in on Bobby. And eventually it's like, Bobby doing his thing. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna go so hard. And then sure enough, we're like, you're sitting the next day, and then like you're just seeing Bobby everywhere. I mean, absolutely
Everywhere.
everywhere, man. Yeah, which is awesome. That's awesome for the genre. But you know,
That was whole. So I had just met him at Planet Desert Rock just briefly.
yeah,
Hi, and it was like, oh wow, that's the guy from Pentagram. That's so cool. And then I went to work the next day, after that blew up the next day, and this guy at work, and I work with all these stoners. I work in a, dispensary.
Mhm.
This kid came up to me. He's like, "Do you know who this guy is?" And I was like, "Dude, I
Oh,
do know who that guy is." And
awesome.
but eh, if it, man, if it's a gateway for a few more people to listen to the music that we enjoy so much, that's fucking awesome.
Well, for sure,
Otherwise,
that
that's
song. Sorry to interrupt you there. Well, what were
no,
you
no,
saying?
go, no, you go ahead, man.
Well, that you look at the song. I think they were playing "The Ghoul," that's the song that he's playing in that clip. I believe so. I might be wrong on that, but that song has gotten like I love it because I love watching the actual metrics of it. From the social media side. I remember I was
Yeah.
watching the night we played. Pentagram was maybe around like 86,000 monthly listeners, and then in 2 days, 3 days, they jumped all the way up to almost a half a million, dude, which is
That
awesome, man.
fucking
That's awesome, man, because it's like some people that was probably their first exposure to
Mhm.
like the stoner, because the stoner and doom scene, it's like
Absolutely.
we're an older scene. I always compare it to like Logan, from Wolverine. That's pretty much like that's like the whole stoner and doom scene, just older guys, like because
Dude, I hear you.
because yeah,
I, I
my brother. Go ahead.
no, no, you're good.
My brother, so maybe to circle back a little bit, we do feel isolated a lot, but my brother and I, Joey did, if you don't know, he does all the art for Planet Desert Rock. He did all the artwork for that. And
I knew it. I knew that was the
yeah,
same dude. Yeah.
yep. And so we were like, we played the very first Desert Rock with our other band. We played with Wofat, Sasquatch, and there was somebody else. We played that first one with our other band, and then that was a good one, and it was
Yeah,
freezing
I
out,
know it's
but
legendary. Like to me, that's like, oh, I wasn't even like, I was so out of the loop at that point. Yeah,
then we
that's cool,
decided to
man.
go, and it's weird and crazy and humbling because it's like you're walking around and you know for us down here, not nobody recognizing the genre, we're so isolated, having people go, hey, are you Wayne from Fuzz Evil? And I'm like yeah, that's me. They're like, can I get a picture? I'm like, okay, I guess if you want to. Yeah, sure, yeah.
Man, that attitude. So many guys in great bands in the scene are very humble in the way that you just described, and it's pretty cool, man. What do you think? Why don't you think there's any kind of like rock star kind of level egos in the scene? I mean, I haven't really seen any. What do you think? There's a reason, or do you think it's? What do you
I
think?
think I think it's because the genre itself is underground, right? And so to
Yeah,
truly appreciate the doom and psych scene, you have to really enjoy it, right? And so it's
yeah,
like you I think you're just humbled a lot of times because it's not a given, right? It's like trying to sell somebody on sludge or trying to sell somebody on,
sure,
you know, it takes a certain person who can appreciate that music. And so I think you're you're always trying to, I guess, like stay relevant within yourself and stay humbled and know it's not knowing that everything is not afforded to you. Nothing's easy, right? Like, in those big genres, like
for
if we were into
sure,
rap, and that's because it's so well liked and so well received that, you could take a lot of generation and anybody be like, oh, this is cool. You already have this built-in ego. But for us, you're always feel maybe it's like being underground itself, you're always fighting to try and I wouldn't even say feel noticed. It doesn't seem right, but it's almost like you're always fighting to, to keeping yourself above water, to keep pushing, to keep playing, and then and you notice you start winning fans over slowly and slowly, and then, you see so many people who are converts. They're like my
yeah,
buddy, one of my good friends that I probably been friends with him. We met about a year ago. He was a huge death metal head, huge, right?
okay, yeah,
And I said, all right, man. And he's like, well, I've never even heard of Stoner and Doom. And I said, well, it's pretty sick. And
sure,
so I introduced, this was the weirdest, like, because he's listening to Death, he's listening to Carcass and Cannibal
okay.
Corpse. And I'm like, and for some reason, I probably could have gave him a better bridge band, but I'm like, you should really listen to All Them Witches, which is, thinking about it now, but it's like I
Well,
told him,
that was a leap, but they're a great
yeah,
band, though.
I love him, and I said,
Yeah.
listen, one of my favorite, Dine Surfer meets his maker has always a special place in my heart. I was going through a tough time in my life, and I remember just listening to that record nonstop. And I said, I'm a UPS driver, and so is he. Like when I'm not playing music, and a lot of times we have these things called stingers where you drive. These people live like one stop will be 30 miles out, right? So you have
Okay.
it's kind of cool because you have
You,
time to listen to a record,
yeah,
in that
yeah,
time.
no doubt.
And I said, dude, you've got to just listen to this record and tell me what you think. And then sure enough, he became a super fan. And then it was funny. I take him to we went to King Buffalo, and dude, he became a super fan of that. We've
Sure.
had a lot of great shows that came through Tucson this year, so it's like it's been winning a lot of people over. But now he loves it, and like. And every day he calls me. He's like, "Dude, you ever heard of a band called Kyuss? Dude, they're freaking awesome."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, man, I went through that too, like I came to it pretty late and through like a weird, psychedelic kind of like I didn't come through a metal channel or all, and
Mhm.
so yeah, man, it's like people have no idea how expansive this genre is and how great the musicians are and how good the music is. Man, your music is really good, and it's changed a little bit
Oh,
with your
sure,
new
for sure.
record. And I think it's like a pretty it's for it changed for probably a pretty obvious reason. You've added a multi instrumentalist, Preston,
Mhm.
and then you have a drummer, and I believe the drummer Cajun is also adding vocals to your
Yep,
recordings. Am I correct there?
sure.
So
Yep.
so, man, how did that change not only your writing and your recording process, but change the feel of the band?
Well, one thing that my brother and I was doing when we're writing stuff, and it's our process of writing is it's always pretty relentless between the two of us, where there's no egos involved, and we're always just trying to fight what's best, right? And so we have this rule, like if you're playing something, someone will be like, "Nah, dude, I think that kind of sucks," and it's like
Cool.
you have to be in a position where you're like, you don't take offense to it. You're like, well, what do we do to change it, right? And then
Mhm.
sometimes you're like, no, I really want this in there. I'm really hearing this. But the thing is, you only get one of those. You can't keep burning that, right? And so
Cool.
when you add people to a project that's already been existing, you never want them to feel like they don't have a say and they don't have a way to kind of mold the shape of it because that's not fun, right? Nobody wants to join a band where you're
Sure.
just being told what to play. Um, so we kind of just let these guys interpret how they want to. And Preston is super good at like a lot of his ambient stuff. His pedal board, we'll have to take a picture. I'll show it to you. His pedal board is
Okay.
like massive. It's like 2 stories. I think there's like a,
Right on.
I think that's, there's like a small family living in one of the cubbies in there. I don't know. It's huge. It's pretty big. Yeah.
I love it. No, man, I love that ambient kind of stuff, and I thought I really enjoyed that aspect of your new album as well. And I wasn't really expecting as much of that as there is, and it's beautiful, and it like really lends itself to the harder edge parts of the record. Like it really balances things out, and it leaves. I think Doomcake said, talked about the unexpected changes and how smooth they transitioned and how exciting it kept the music. And yeah, that's exactly what I found as well. Pretty intentional then on your part to add new
Yeah.
people and change your sound then. That wasn't like something you guys were like, shit, you guys, did you actively decide, you and your brother, we need to bring in another guitar player?
Um, yeah, on our New Blood record, we wrote that pretty much during COVID, and my brother and I played everything on that record. Um,
Yeah,
it,
that's awesome.
it if you don't like, well, the way we write records is I never want to try to release the same kind of record. That's boring, right? So I always try to have an interesting take on it. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. But I have like a super love for the New Blood record. And so it required, we started introducing baritones into that. And so to play some of that stuff live, we needed another guitar player because
Okay.
there's some rhythms going and I'm singing and I'm playing lead, which is already crazy enough as it is to try to do. And
I
so we
can't
were like, we need to
imagine.
find, yeah, it's a lot, man. And it's like sometimes I kill myself because we're like, you'll write something, right? And a lot of times we write the music first, right? And then I will go and put melodies in, no words, right? I'm trying to establish the melodies that go in
Okay.
there. And then I write lyrics that fit in kind of to the scaffolding of the melody that we put in. But when you're writing the music, sometimes you just get carried away and you start putting in solos and you're like, dude, I gotta sing right here. Like, how the hell am I gonna try and pull this off? And and so like
Yeah,
so a lot of it, I am soloing a lot and singing on this record at the same time. So it's
but
it's
now you
it's
could
fun.
do that live.
Yep, for sure.
That's pretty awesome. Tell me, did you seek a drummer that was going to add vocals, or did that just kind of like, is that just something that happened?
So Cajun is this is probably the first time we've had a drummer with a metal
Okay,
background. We've been very fortunate in our small little town. We've had incredible drummers. Like every one of them's been it, but every record's been a different
drumming's great.
drummer. Yeah, but it's like, they moved on to the things they moved, like some, had found better opportunities. And, Cajun was a transplant from California. We were actually looking for a drummer.
Huh?
That's a big problem. Like, I'll circle back to that. So we are on a hiatus mostly because we didn't have a drummer, right? So we find a drummer. We try him out, and the guy's incredible. And we didn't know that he could scream like that. And then one day we're all joking around at karaoke, and he was singing some Lamb of God song. I was like, dude, are you serious?
Oh,
Like
right on.
your your scream is amazing. And so I feel like we would be leaving something on the table if we didn't try to use that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
And but also you have to be delicate about it because it's like you don't want to completely change the total dynamics of the band, but you want to place them in a part on the record where you want to take that crescendo up to a point, and there's like no other point of making it as heavy as it possibly can without adding in those vocals. And I think in this record, it was the way we placed his vocals in there when he's screaming. It's like it adds such a raw energy to that part
yeah.
before it takes it back down again. But
I agree. I mean, like I love the vocals in your band in general. Like
thanks,
I'm
man.
really impressed by by all the vocals, the scream stuff, and then you're an excellent vocalist as well. And when I really like where I was really impressed with your vocals is when you guys covered the Cars song
Oh, thanks, man. Just what I
earlier
need.
this year.
Yep.
Yeah, and man, I love the Cars. Like
Yeah,
I'm
same, same.
like I'm old, and I like the Cars were like part of my teenage years, and like I saw them on their last tour, and they're
Oh,
like
nice.
an important band to me. And so when I heard that cover, man, I was like super excited because you guys do your own thing, but you pay massive tribute to one of my favorite bands. Tell me, like, why did you choose that song? Like, it's kind of like for me, kind of a surprising stoner doom kind of choice.
I I remember listening to it. I remember we were riding somewhere in the car, and I was like, you know what? I haven't really heard anybody cover this. Like
Yeah, yeah,
in obviously, and it's funny because in Stoner and Doom, you don't really get a lot of guys covering stuff. And I wish there would be more of
no,
it because I would love to hear it. And so I was like, man, I really love the Cars, and I love this song, and I think I could just nail this vocally. And we started working with it, and but you never just want to be like you kind of want to make it your own. You kind of want to change some stuff up, and it's kind of what we did, and I was super proud of it. And it's funny, they
I
always
love
tell
it.
you don't read the comments, like on
Yeah.
dude, the the comments are so bad. I shouldn't have read them because
Oh
like it's
no.
it's it's pretty close to the original. I'm not like I'm not
Yeah.
like Andy. I'm not like Andy Warhol and making it super off. You know
Oh
what I mean?
no, no, no,
And
no. It's instantly recognizable what you're doing.
and so I mean, there's a little changes, but
Yeah.
the comments are like, "You completely ruined this song," and like, which dude, it's like you laugh because you're like, dude, I wonder what, I wonder. I'm so curious, like what he heard. That was like the moment where he's like, you know what, this guy,
Oh
it's
no.
awful. This is I've listened to this song 1,000 times. It's terrible. And it's like you're like, dude, it's exactly the same song. It's like I didn't change anything. It's not like I'm out of tune or like singing bad or anything. It's just it is what it
Like,
is, man. Don't read the comments, you know.
don't read the. My favorite comment I ever had on my channel was some guy was like, "Fuck, all you do is fucking talk. Are you ever gonna get to the songs?" Like, it's a fucking interview show, dude.
Dude, dude, my favorite terrible comment. I think it was on review, and this was years ago, dude, when we first got started. And this guy, he said something like my solo was a turgid guitar solo, and dude,
Okay.
I laughed so hard, and I still, it's never really left me because every time I'm writing a solo on a record, and I was like, dude, I better write this so it's not a turgid guitar solo, like, which I thought is such a savage way to talk about somebody,
Oh
man.
my god. Yeah, people are rough out there, man. But
Yeah,
like you got a good sense of humor about it. I'm glad you do.
you can't take
So
it
did you?
serious, man.
Right, man. So
Yeah.
tell me, who inspired you and your brother growing up? What did you guys listen to?
Oh man, we are all over the place. So the fun fact is, my parents were super religious, so it was kind of one of, and we grew up, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, that my brother and I grew up playing in Pentecostal churches, and
Okay,
so I was on guitar, he was on bass, and we were little, and so we used to do these like long jam sessions, and like we were playing in front of, I think we were playing two services of 500 people each
wow,
service, and so we were always playing in front of decent sized crowds, so we got pretty comfortable just playing music together.
that's cool.
And that time then you go through your rebellious phase, right? You start. I remember Joey was really big into. He was listening to the Metallic Black record, Metallica's Black
Sure,
record, and then we listened to a lot of grunge and
sure.
like mostly a lot of grunge, some punk, Tool. And the funny thing is we didn't really, like I said, I would say I listened to Queens of the Stone Age first before I
Okay,
found out who Kyuss was because we
I
used to
did
have
too.
this.
I did too.
We had this, yeah, but it was super fun going down that rabbit hole and being like, dude, are you kidding me? Like,
Hmm.
this is incredible. Like, I remember there used to be, I don't know if they have these back in Colorado. They used to have a store called Hastings, right? And it
What's it
was
called?
like Hastings,
No, I'm not
and
familiar with it. But go ahead.
and it was like a multimedia store. You used to be able to rent
Okay.
movies there. They
Oh,
had, I
okay.
mean, it's a huge store. They had tons of music, books, everything, almost like a Barnes and Noble kind of, you
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
And it was an awesome place in our town. But one of my favorite things is anytime a new record would come out, they would have these listing stations. Like, whenever I think, when did music
Oh,
come back out
cool.
back in the day, like Tuesday or something?
Yeah.
Um,
Tuesdays
yeah,
were the
yeah.
best.
And so I'd go in there every Tuesday and just listen to all the new records were. And I remember seeing the Queens of Stone Age, the red cover with the,
Yeah.
the Q on it. I'm like, what is this? And
Sure.
I must have listened to that record in the store like, dude, like 50 times, and
Right
I
on.
finally, I finally bought it. And then I started realizing Dave Grohl played drums on it. And then I'm like, who are these guys? And
Yeah.
um, start deep diving and so it's like, it's crazy to think about, what bands kind of bring you in. But before Queens, I think my first introduction to the whole scene was, I remember I was like younger. We used to go to these big shows in our hometown in the park, and everybody used to go like in the local scene. We'd go play, and like everybody would go out there. It'd probably be like 500 kids out there. But I remember
Right on.
sometimes you get some pretty big bands coming. It was just weird just touring through and playing because these shows used to be pretty large. And I
Okay.
remember they were handing out somebody from some label was handing out like demos or something like that. And I remember somebody handed me this promo and it had Clutch's Pure Rock Fury on it. you know. And
Right
so
on. Fuck
the
yeah.
very first song that I listened to off that was Clutch's American Sleep. You know, he's all one, two, buckle my shoe, weaker than
Oh
I am
yeah, man.
stronger than
So good.
dude. I was so glued to that record. I'm like, what is this? Like, and
Mhm.
I just was you start deep diving and all that stuff, man. And it's just, you know, you start realizing this. It's almost like an onion. It starts blossoming. You realize there's all these other bands, and it is weird. The bands that kind of got me in. I remember there was a band. There's the old Small Stone Records days with like some of the Gen
Yeah.
One stoner bands. There was a band on there called Red Giant, and
Okay. I think I've heard of Red Giant. I probably need to dig them up. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I remember listening to that their first record, and I loved it. It had like Jet. I think it was I can't remember the name, Jetpack Mom or something like that on there.
Okay.
Killer record. It's a killer record, right?
I'm writing it
And the
down.
funny that it was their very first record, and I remember that I just the same thing because I went from American Sleep, I went to Red Giant, and the funny thing is this is years later. This is kind of hilarious. So I work at UPS, and there's like a Facebook group where all the UPSers in the entire United States, right? And
Okay.
I post, hey guys, what's up? They just released the record, check it out. And these, we're all pretty supportive of each other. Well, then
Cool.
this guy goes, hey, you and I need to talk. We got a lot in common. And I said, all right,
Oh.
cool, man. And so I start talking to him, and he goes, oh, I used to play in a band, And I was like, oh, what band did you play in? And he goes, Red Giant. And I'm like, dude, are
Oh
you fucking kidding me?
shit.
I was like, are you kidding me? Your record, I wore that thing out. I don't like your band was the first one that I was like,
Oh
it just took me down that
damn.
rabbit hole. And so him and I became pretty good buddies after that.
Dude,
But
I love it, man. That's awesome. It's like such an organic way to discover the music, and then this connect, that like kind of speaks to what we were talking about earlier, the lack of egos. There's regular guys in the scene who are making way above regular music, just amazing, fantastic music like you guys are.
thank you.
And it's cool, like how people are just pretty fucking normal, though.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's the best story. Well, man, what do you guys? You guys have the album coming out. It's coming
Yep.
out. Shit, what's today? I fuck Monday, right? So it's coming out
Monday,
Thursday, right? Thursday or Friday?
Friday, Friday.
Friday, perfect, man. I am super excited for you guys. Tell me, are you guys gonna do some shows coming up? Do you have a tour plan this summer? Do you guys have any plans for support for the new record?
Um, yeah, we'll probably be touring in May.
Okay,
From May, I want to say the 17th through the 24th, we'll be going up the West Coast. So,
right on.
and then we'll probably be doing some more dates, like, on the other side too. We put in for a few festivals. We'll see if it pans out. But
Cool, man. Well,
yeah,
Denver's not too far away.
no, it is. We've been looking to play Denver. So,
We'd love to have you guys here. That'd be awesome.
I don't know if we told you, tomorrow we are going to release another song off the record. It's called Under the Starlit Grave. I
I love
think
that one.
Scott and
Cool.
Monster Riff, they're going to be premiering that on his site. It's just going to be
Right on.
premiering on YouTube and our Bandcamp. Just a
Yeah,
little extra
cool.
push. So,
So
but
Monster
what's
Riff's
it?
going to be doing that. Scott
Yep.
Spires is a great guy, man. They
Yeah,
do
he
a
is.
fantastic job. That'll be, man. That's awesome. You guys, I mean, you deserve to have the word out on this record. It's just freaking great, buddy. Well, hey, man. I'm thinking we should probably wrap it up. We've gone for about
All right.
33 minutes,
Right
but
on.
man, I just want to give you a chance to like open forum for you right now. You can talk about whatever you want. If you want to like say hi to anybody or just
Hmm.
just send a general message out or talk about your band or something you want to promote, man, go. You got as much time as you want, man. You got as much time
Well,
as you want.
first off, I want to say this community is some of the best community out there. It's so niche, and everyone from the bands to the fans to the people who run the blogs are just like some of the best humans out there. To the people who run the labels, I don't think I've ever encountered anybody in this entire scene, in the entire world. Everybody from the Euro scene to here, I mean, it's just some of the best people. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the biggest things, one of the biggest selling points about this style of music is that the people in the scene are amazing, and you get this huge sense of family, and it's like, we we have friends all over the world, you know, and it's like that's something that,
It's the
you know,
coolest.
it hits different, man. And there's not really any genres like out there, whether it's metal or punk, that has this kind of tight knit, just kind of sense of family. Through, I mean, it's
Agree.
huge. It's like a just huge network that goes out through all the United States. You know, it transfers over into Europe. It's like it just goes everywhere, man. And it's like being in the
Oh
same
yeah.
this decent, you know, decent time. You realize it's just amazing people. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's kind of taken the time to do premieres for our band and put us up in your homes and sign us to your labels and just be involved, you know, in the whole scene. We're just grateful, and we're hoping we could just keep giving back to everybody in it. So,
Well, you definitely are, Wayne. Like, man, your music is important to a small but growing group of people out there, man, and not that small. Like, we're getting bigger all the time, man, and like
yeah, true.
you guys are like an important part of the scene, and we appreciate what you're doing, man. And I'm super excited for people to hear the whole record, but it's fucking fantastic, man. I
Friday.
like, man, I know I'm gonna go. Like, I think my girlfriend's asleep, so I'm gonna go vibe alone, so to speak. After we get out of here, I love that cut too, man. But hey, bud, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and do this and talk about your record and give us some background on your band. Man, if there's anything I could do for you, bud, please don't hesitate to ask, man.
Yep, we'll definitely be seeing. We'll probably be heading up your way soon, so we'll hopefully to come say what's
We'd
up to
love
all of
that.
our Colorado
Uh,
peeps and New Mexico peeps. So,
Absolutely. We'll
uh,
definitely, I'd definitely love to meet you guys in person. That'd be fantastic. Well, Wayne, I appreciate you doing this, man. I'm going to like end the interview, but if you could hang on 1 second, that'd be fantastic.
yeah,
Hey
sure.
guys, it's Rudell, right? Is that how you say your
Yep,
last name? It's
yep,
Wayne Rudell.
yep.
He's representing his brother Joey, Cajun on drums, Preston on the other guitar for Fuzz Evil on Desert Records, man. But thanks again. This is Sean from the Heavy Underground Farm Report. We're gonna let y'all go. All right, hang on 1 sec, buddy.
It's cold through miles. Each loss tells a story. Yeah.